Turn the pages, feel the beat, dance with words, move your feet.
Hello everyone and welcome to this reading Dippit and the start of this week's vlog. Woohoo! Alright, so I have finished reading Famous Last Words by Gillian McAllister, and oh my gosh, it was so good. I read this book super fast, so like it's just I got everything, and it was just, you know, of course with these kind of thrillers, a lot of like what happens in the last like 50 pages, right? Oh my gosh, the last couple books I've read, it all happened in the last, oh my gosh, right? But what happens is that this girl named Kate, she goes back to work, and her husband Luke leaves this very cryptic message, and then she goes to work, and then the police come and they are wanting to take her in for questioning, and she sees the CCTV footage of like her husband and like how he's doing like a siege, and how he has like 3 hostages, and then he goes on the run, and you know, then the book jumps 70 years in the future. She has no idea what's going on, what happened to her husband, but she can't bring herself to you know, not to like to cancel his phone plan, so she just, you know, has this hope that he's still alive and whatnot. So what ends up happening is that she ends up, so it's just she can't let it go, and so the Niall, who is the hostage negotiator of the siege when it happened 70 years ago, still can't get over this case and still wants to solve it, because 2 out of the 3 hostages were killed, but we don't know like their identities, and he just, you know, as like a criminal minds, or you know, being a hostage negotiator, he wants to know the details, he wants to know who these people are, and he wants to help out. And so he's going back into like Luke's records, like his like on the dark web, trying to figure out who everything is, but you know, and he starts like seeing things, and he finds out that Luke was like trying to get like a gun, and you know, and so then it kind of jumps between like it like Camilla and Luke, or not Luke, in Niall's kind of perspectives and what's going on. And Camilla, or Cam, she just doesn't know like what to take of everything, but she has like a new beau named Charlie, or Charles, and so she's kind of trying to move on the best that she can, but the kicker is that Luke isn't dead, and that it was more of he was concerned that people were coming after him, and that he was going to get murdered, and he wanted a gun, and he finds a way to escape from his hiding, and has this manuscript, right? But because Camilla is his wife, and he was able to write a secret message to her with his like manuscript, that she's able to tell Niall everything that was going on. So then, you know, at the end of the day, the bad guys get taken down, and the manuscript that like Luke gave to his wife Camilla, those were his famous last words. So it's just like really fun and exciting that everything kind of like went down the way that it did, and that of course Luke got like his famous last words published in a book, and Camilla is a literary agent, so which is like how like they met, because Luke's a writer. So everything worked out in the end. I would say it was like a 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was really fast paced, really fun, and just like a fun journey of like this mystery of like what happened to Luke, why all of a sudden he would like have a gun or even want a gun, and how he was able to act in self-defense. You know, it was really great. I'm loving it. Alright, so I'm going to give it a thumbs up. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next Dippit. Alright, happy reading. Bye! Hello, and welcome to this reading Dippit. And I have now finished another Audible original called Call Me Maybe by Cara Bastone. And oh my gosh, it's another cute little romancy type of book, again, about being on the phone. So what happens is, now I'm getting her name is, what is her name? It is not Blair. So anyways, this girl, she owns like a website, and it's like all out of whack, and she doesn't, what is it? Her website's like edited, or like her website's not working, so she has to call Cara. So she has to call customer support, right? So that way, or her name's Vera. So Vera has to call customer support, so that way the it can get taken care of, like the customer, right? And so Cal ends up answering the call and helping her out with everything, right? And so like while she's like, at first like she's like on the phone with him and she needs to pull over because she's driving home because she's been on hold for like 5 hours. So she pulls over and she like kind of hotspots like her phone and telling her computer to tell him what's going on. And then she like runs out the battery in her car. So then Cal ends up going like the extra mile when it comes to like just customer service and ends up calling her a tow truck and helping her get home. And Cal like really goes above and beyond trying to help her with like getting her like book or getting her website back on track. Right? So, right, and it's all about that, like, this website needs to be done and up and running by the end of the week, right? Because Vera has this big, she's an entrepreneur, and there's, like, this big networking event where she can, like, sell her product, and she needs to have her website up and running for that, because that's a big part of her online business. So then after that, she gets everything rolling and going for that. Oh my goodness. So her brother is trying to tell her that, like, so then a side note, her brother is saying like, oh, you really need to meet my friend Fred, like, blah, 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 I think he'd be good for you, right? But then, Vera is about to give up on love because she has, like, this business and she wants to focus on that, right? And then she makes this, like, small off-the-cuff comment to her brother when she's, like, staying at her parents' place for the weekend because of, like, this convention that's happening that she's participating in. And her brother's like, yeah, the second you want Fred, this is the second he's off the market, right? So like, over the course of the couple of days that like Cal and Vera have like formed this relationship, but it's on the phone, but like they haven't met in person. They don't really know what each other looks like. So it turns out that Fred is who Vera's brother's trying to hook her up with is Cal. His name's like Frederick Calvin. It's just, it's kind of a small world kind of coincidence. At the very end, Vera ends up inviting Cal to come to the convention at the very end so they could go on their very first date. And that, like right after the convention, after he put in all this like hard work. And it turns out that Cal is like the owner of the business that the website is being hosted by, and that Cal, he sometimes becomes part of the customer service line, or he takes calls because of the fact of the matter that he wants to improve his like website platform. He just can't get the feedback in which like he wants, and when he asks people, the people are too afraid to give him like the great or the best response because he's the boss. And it's just like one big thing after another. He's tried listening to the calls the customer service team has had, but it's just one of those things that he just happened, the owner, the CEO of the company, just happens to take the call, and he ends up kind of like falling in love, or what you think, or it's just like a budding romance. And oh my gosh, and they get to start dating, but they feel like they kind of like know each other in a way because they've spent so much time on the phone with each other trying to get this like website underway so she can actually start her own business too. Oh my goodness. It was just super cute, super adorable. 4 out of 5 stars. And of course, you have to give it a thumbs up. But that's kind of it for me right now. We'll catch you on the next Dippit. Happy reading, everyone. Bye! Hello and welcome to this reading Dippit. Oh my goodness. So, I have just finished listening to Sweet Talk by Cara Bastone. This was like another Audible original. So apparently, Cara Bastone has this like love line trilogy. So it's Call Me Baby, then Sweet Talk, and then Seatmate. And so I'm going to listen to all 3 now that I've listened to the first 2. And Sweet Talk, it is just so super cute. So what happens is that we have 2 people here, and we have Elliot. So Elliot is the brother of Vera from Call Me Maybe, and so he ends up like drunk dialing this person, and in his phone, person's name is a bunch of like letters, like random letters, and the last name is like JD, right? So that's what he calls her. And so JD and Elliot just kind of like start texting, and or like because Elliot has dyslexia, he ends up up voice calling her a bunch of times, and they just end up like talking on the phone. And so like they know, so Elliot doesn't know or can't remember meeting her, right? But he knows that he knows her, and he's like trying to figure out who it is until one day and they end up like running into each other, and like through the phone you can like hear like a police car in the background. And but of course JD just like ends up like running away because, you know, like she doesn't want like him to know like who she is, right? And I don't know, it's just so super cute. So like in it, like, what happens is that so part of it is that they are very like, they're both kind of nighthawks, and it's because that well, you know, so JD is so used to being up of all hours and doing everything that she can't really sleep. And where Elliot, that somebody broke into his house, and so ever since then he hasn't been able to really get up and get really to sleep. And well, that happens to be JD's brother Jack actually ended up breaking into his house, but Jack didn't think that anybody was going to be there, and he thought that like, so which is like why he thought he could get away with it. But of course, you know, like he happened to be home that week, Elliot happened to be home, and of course like Jack like held a gun to Elliot's face, but and I guess like that's, but the gun was empty. But that was the reason why JD ended up finding out her name is actually Jessie, that JD didn't or Jessie didn't end up telling or freaked out and didn't tell Elliot who she was because of the fact of the matter that, you know, because she wanted to protect her brother, and that Jessie and Jack's dad is in adult care living, and that he is on Jack's like insurance. And so Jessie didn't want Elliot to do something and then have, you know, like Jack go to jail, and, you know, like, and then yeah, and just like their dad be like not be in this care facility. But it doesn't matter that it was just like this like one time thing that, or like that Jack doesn't do this kind of thing anymore. Not Elliot, but Jessie is actually the superintendent of the building that both her and Elliot live in, which was like so super tricky. That's kind of like how she had to stay out of his way and everything. But oh my goodness, it was just another cute another sweet book. And of course, you know, the first 3 books I listened to her are of Cara Bastone. They're all about being on the phone. So I'm presuming that Seatmate is going to be the same way. And then after that, I'm probably going to listen to Love at First Psych. And then I'm hopefully just going to move on from Cara Bastone from here. Or like, she's really good, but like I don't need to, I guess if the shoe fits and I like listening to them, and I mean like the audio productions are actually really great. But I don't know, like it's just how many different stories can you create that are about people spending all the time on the phone, you know? I mean, it's a very interesting concept, and I like hearing about it, but man, oh man. So I guess it's just kind of it for me. And then I also have been reading The Sun Was Electric Light by Rachel Morton. It's a very short book. It's like 210 pages and about 50 pages in, and it's just about like this girl. She ends up moving to like this small town, and she already has a job. She's made a few friends, and it's just figuring life out, doing what you need to do. And it is very much a I guess not a commercial town, but like in the summer, like the town gets a lot busier. A tourist town, I guess. I don't know, but so far so great. I'm liking it. Gonna give it a thumbs up. All right, and we'll catch y'all guys on the next Dippit. All right, bye. Hello and welcome to this reading Dippit. Yay! So I have now finished listening to Seatmate by Cara Bastone, and oh my gosh, thank God this book was not a book that was entirely on the phone. What happened is that so these 2 people are on the road back to New York for 2 different reasons. One is for work, and the other one is I'm trying to find their names right now because you know, not really prepared for this. Let's just say that. So they are on they're on the bus ride, one for work and the other one because they live in New York, and they are really just, and so like the girl, she is on the bus because she is a freelance reader, or not reader, she's a freelance kind of like, she takes photography, and she and she does like a lot of journalism and stuff, where the guy, he just like lives in New York, and well, they so like the bus, because it's like by taking the like a flight from Boston to New York, it's the same as like taking a bus, and they were both last minute trying to get there, and the girl is trying to get this kind of trying to get like this interview with this like high class society woman, and that this guy, so they end up sitting beside each other because they're both like late to getting on the bus, and they end up like talking and really hitting it off and telling each other everything. But then the bus ends up getting or blowing a tire, so they end up having to get off. But like the journalist, if she doesn't get off or get to her interview appointment, then and it's going to go to this other freelance journalist, and we hate him because he's just like a blowhard, right? So so the guy calls in a favor to his friend, and they end up taking this, he ends up calling a favor to his friend and helping her drive all the way back to New York, so that way she can be the person to, you know, get this interview. And he does. And so, and he helps her get there. They have some trial and tribulations, obviously, to get to this interview. And he does everything he can in his power to make sure that she's the one to get this interview. And she does. And it ends up being like, you know, a very career ending, and or career starting for her, because she was able to get this journalist, or able to, you know, be able to do that. And they just have this budding relationship now. And it's so super cute. So I would say it's 4 out of 5 stars. I really liked it because it was, again, not on the phone, but it is what it is. Right? So that is just my level of just awesome sauce with it. And there is one more free Audible book by her, and it is called Love at First Psych, where it's just like they're trying to interview people to see if their love at first sight is really a thing. But yeah, so hopefully I will finish that sometime soon. But yeah, it is just, I'm really liking Cara Bastone. I don't know, I feel like after this I'm gonna be sick and tired of like her writing and romance, so I'll have to find something else new. But yeah, that's kind of it for right now. Give it a thumbs up, and we'll catch y'all later in the next episode. Alright, bye! Hello, and welcome to this reading Dippit. Oh my gosh, so I have 2 reading updates for you. And the first one is that I have now finished reading The Sun Was an Electric Light by Rachel Morton. And what it is about is that we have this character named Ruth who moved to this small town, and she started like teaching, living her life, and it's like this small kind of like remote like island town, and she made some friends. She would go to the mainland and come back to this like little island, and when you know, and then like, you know, as time goes on, one of her friends does end up dying or getting really sick, and then ends up dying. And it's just about like how she doesn't really know what to do with her life, and she wants to make sure that she is keeping the life of her friend that passed away alive, and it really affects her that she died, because she was like a really good friend of hers. And it's just finding peace and just living the life that you know, that because she finds like the light or the lake to be like really soothing and bringing a lot of I don't know, just a lot of peace to her, and just like how like rejuvenating like it can be, and just finding, you know, she visits like her friend's like gravestone, and then she comes to the lake, and just how it's like, how do we move on and how do we move past this, right? And then the second reading update is that I have finished listening to Love at First Sight by Cara Bastone. It's the last like a free Audible version of Cara Bastone book that I have, or that is available. And what it is about, it's about like these 2 college students that are having to do a project together, and it's about scientifically coming up with is a love at first sight really a thing? And so this couple is or their partnership is trying to interview all these people to see if it's really a thing, and it kind of turns out that he kind of liked her from like right at first sight kind of a thing, and that they are really just kind of of, you know, like that last year there was a hint of like potentially that she was copying him, and there was some plagiarism, but there wasn't any, and it was just that it was kind of an investigation happened, so they both had to retake the course. So she kind of feels bad about it, but now that the project is kind of, they have to finish the project off together, and then they're kind of gonna go from there. It's just kind of super cute that they were able to, I don't know, just be there together and just kind of work their social issues out, or work everything out, because they had to work on this project together. And you know, it was a love at first sight, really, I think. Well, you have to read this book or listen to it to see if what their findings are, and it's just so super cute. I'm happy that again, like, it wasn't on the phone, and it was just this cute little love story between the two. All right, so give everything a thumbs up. Hopefully everybody's doing all right. And yeah, so this week has been a loaded week. I think I've listened to 3 audiobooks and read 2 books. So, you know, I've gone from like basically 1 book a week to 5 this week. And this is not going to be an everyday kind of, or every week kind of a thing, but I'm happy that I was able to do. That's kind of it for right now. We'll catch you on, guys, the next Dippit. All right, bye. Hello and welcome to today's Dippit. Woohoo! This is the end of this week's vlog. As you can see, it is Easter Sunday. Happy Easter, everyone. And hopefully everybody got a really nice Easter basket filled with candy, just like we did. The Easter Bunny doesn't forget adults. Don't forget that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully everybody has had a great week. I know I did, with reading 2 books and 4 audiobooks. Very busy week. Woohoo! And you know, Tuesday's my birthday, so I'll be sure to include the my book haul, which I'm getting, because I do have some birthday money. Yay! And I'm going to use that to buy more books, because Emily Henry's book is coming out on Tuesday, which is the same day as my birthday, so you know I'm gonna get that. Yeah, right? Gotta use money in the way that works for you, and that's gonna make you happy. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm super excited because I got candy. Cotton candy. If only I had cotton candy. Man, but next time. But anyways, that's kind of it for me. Give it a thumbs up. Hopefully, oh yeah, I made my nails super Easter eggy, right? Hopefully you can see that. Anyways, that's it for me. Happy reading, everybody, and we'll see you on the next Dippit. All right, bye.